is I have found over these 30 years is that there's three common factors when we are feeling less than happy about our body. And those three factors are, I don't like the way my body looks, I don't like the way it acts or it's performing, and I don't like the way it feels, aches, pains. So over those 30 years, I came to have an experience with all of those areas. And that greatly impacted my message. Yeah, I've been through it. I've been through it myself, and I've been through it with you. So in the very, 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 very beginning, I'm going to read a little from the book. If you want to follow along, it's page 4, but it's just a paragraph. And I'd like to introduce you a little bit to my history. I love the human body, and I love to move. I can't remember a time when I didn't love to move. As a toddler, I would dance in front of the TV during my parents' gatherings. In fact, my childhood nickname was Shaky Jake. My father would go, "Shaky Jake, stop moving," because I'd be like wiggling and he'd be watching TV. "Stop moving down there." I can hear him still. During high school, I turned our basement into my own mini dance and exercise studio with a mini trampoline, rubber tubing, weights, and a cassette player. So that gives you an idea of what year that was. It was very Jane Fonda. It was. Living in rural Idaho, I spent hours dancing in my basement, going on runs with my black lab, Frick, or hitting tennis balls against the side of a barn. I found my love. I love to move. That's really, I think it's very common for us to kind of go back and see, like, what were some of my passions, and moving definitely was a passion of mine. And as I moved into college, I really had a difficult time. I can remember going to my counselor and just big college girl tears. "I don't know, I want to be a dance major, but my parents say, what am I going to do with a dance degree?" I look back on that now and I'm like, dang, I would have saved myself a lot of time if I had gone the dance degree, because I had to just study all that. I just did it having a communication degree. So I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Communication, but I took a lot of dance classes and the dance theater and things like that, which, again, just part of the love to move. When I got out of college, I went into marketing like a good college graduate should do, but I moonlighted on the side, as often happens with hobbies. And my moonlighting was to teach aerobics. Work all day, drive across town, teach aerobic classes, and I really loved that. Until and then at one point I did transition over, and I began to teach aerobics full time, which you can kind of imagine is a little bit of a challenging way to make a living. It's a lot of aerobic classes, and that tells you actually what time period, because I think they call them group exercise classes now. But back in the day, it was aerobics classes. How many? Who knows? Who went to high impact, low impact, high low? I mean, it was, you name it, bench. Go flying around over those benches. Oh, step aerobics. Yes, these are my people. I did get into personal training at that time too. So I wanted to read a little bit about that time period. And it goes, before I knew it, training 30 plus clients a week and teaching 6 to 9 aerobic classes a week was starting to take a toll on me. I was young, under 30 still, and in pretty elite physical shape. In my off hours, I also enjoyed hiking in Seattle's Olympic mountain range. I rock climbed and camped on the weekends. I water skied at sunrise because I had a 6 a.m. client, so we'd have to water ski beforehand on Lake Washington. And I would cross-country ski and do snow camping. What was I thinking? Camping in the snow in the winters. I was living my passion, which was to move. I loved the outdoors, and then I loved being inside with my clients. But then I started to lose energy. At first I thought it was just lack of sleep. You ever done that? Oh yeah, just, I'm a little tired. I thought I was just burning the candle at both ends. Well, that candle ended up being the Epstein-Barr virus that my body couldn't fight. Then it was a case of shingles at the age of, under 30. Those two viruses seemed to open up the floodgates to problems, one after the other. thoracic outlet syndrome, shoulder impingement, chronic shin splints, and plantar fasciitis. While I was working hard and playing big, my body was struggling to keep up. I'll never forget visiting a doctor and reading her chart notes, showing signs of anorexia nervosa with a tendency to compulsive exercise. What? I was a fitness professional. My industry was surrounded by teachers battling through injuries. I was a warrior, just like them, wearing the badge of my perfect body as my fitness perfection. I passionately taught people how to be fit and healthy, and I was a shining example of fitness, right? So I was so busy teaching and learning and training clients, I simply got in the habit of being the boss of my body. I told my body what I needed to get done, and I told my body I wanted to do it, and it would have to endure it for me. And my body did all that until it couldn't. And so often, I look back at that time period, and it just all felt so normal. It just all felt so normal. And I know that that's a time period of, 20s and 30s. It's just like, go after life. And I didn't realize how unnormal for me that was until I went to a fitness convention. Again, up at the crack of dawn, 7 a.m., they offer classes before the continuing education, and that is when I stepped into a class called Guts and Grace. And it was a Nia fitness class, but I didn't know what that was at the time. This is 1996. And I go strutting in, and the presenters have no shoes on, which I immediately was like, I don't understand. We're going to move. I've got my shoes, I'm ready to go. They got a lot of padding on. And they talked of things as we began taking class. They talked of things about sensing my body. And they talked about enjoying movement. They talked about moving with pleasure and expressing myself. And it was like, I actually, this as a side note, can remember what I was wearing. It was a brown unitard. Thank you very much. One-piece brown, chocolate brown unitard. And I can remember being in the hotel conference room, and they were on the stage, and Debbie Rosas has very short cropped hair, and Carlos had very long hair, and that was already but I was flinging my hands up, and we were going, yes, yes, and I thought, wow, this is what I've been missing. And somehow the connection of my years in dance with my love of fitness and the fitness industry merged together, and it was just like this perfect, yay, I found my bliss. Paddled off and went to the table, instantly signed up and became a Nia instructor. For those of you who don't know Nia's got this amazing body of work that is really all about learning how to live in the body and then learning how to live through life. So that was where I spent the last 20 years, is studying somatic of the body, how to be of my body and how to live with my body in life. And I still think I'm so grateful for that, those moments that come together and you go, gosh, if I hadn't signed up for that class, who knows what would be happening? Who knows? So now I'm 20 years into teaching Nia and doing somatic education, and I start to get a little itch. And maybe you've had those where something just doesn't feel right. For the last 2 years, I've been anxious, antsy, with an unusual dose of dissatisfaction. Something is off. I haven't been feeling right. I've been teaching the same body of work for nearly 20 years, and yet for the last 2 years, I feel like I've grown out of it. I feel done. Something deep inside me is saying, stop, at least for now. It's terrifying. And that is why I am here, gazing through the misty drizzle to wrestle with the whisper that says, stop teaching. Sitting here in my room, I am not only grieving, that's another part, I'll get to that, grieving my empty nest of kids. So I took an overnight and I went up to Semillon Lodge. Anybody know where that is? Kind of North Blaine. It's beautiful. It was January. I brought all my journals and I decided, okay, I need to listen to myself. And so when I was up there, after a day of ruminating and meditating and all that, nothing happened until like the very end. The next day, right as I was getting ready to leave, I sat down and did a little journaling, and the words that came to me was, Jill, you help people get happy with your body. And so that actually is also the connection to the book. So that's a little bit of my story of how searching, finding brought me into somatic movement, and then searching, finding, and feeling that itch brought me here, writing the book. The important thing is, and people ask, well, what was the impetus to writing the book? The impetus to writing the book is I felt like I had something to say. I had spent a lot of time writing in journals, all sorts of thoughts about the body and what I was hearing from it. And so as I was writing something, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. As I was getting ready and doing more and more writing, it really dawned on me that when we're getting happy with our body, we really come up with two approaches. So if I go to my doctor and say, oh, I'm looking, my doctor says you need to lose this amount of weight to be healthy, or, this is happening, my digestion's not going so well. Typically the two approaches that we currently have is we need to do something with our diet, meaning our nutrition level, and we need to do something with our exercise. It's either one or two. When we have a problem, says I'm not feeling so great about my body, well, you either need to do something with your diet or something exercise. And that's it. And ever since I've been in this industry, that's all we've ever had. We might have a little bit more now. You hear like a little whisper of some other things. And so we have these two approaches, diet and exercise, and that's what we spend over $80 billion a year in the diet and exercise industry. $80 billion a year. It's actually about the same amount of money that the US government spends on transportation and education combined. Yeah, that's what we spend on weight loss and exercise. It's crazy. And yet, if you've read or seen online, our obesity rates are climbing. Chronic illness is also climbing. And so we go, we're all doing a lot of work. We're spending money not because we like to spend the money, because we're looking for something to help us. And yet our two approaches that we have are not cutting it right now. And so that's why I brought in the third approach. The third approach that we want to be the first approach. And that approach, and the whole premise in the book, is this sense that you have a relationship with your body. And sometimes people go, I don't get it. What do you mean a relationship? And I go, well, this is easy. Just think about the relationships you have with the people you love in your life. There's you, and there's them, and together you interact, you listen to each other, you get to know each other, you know what they don't like, you know what they do like, you know when you're pushing buttons, and that relationship takes on a life of its own. So what if we had you, me, when I say you, I mean me too, we have our physical body, and we just do the same thing. We just overlay how you have relationships with those that you love in your life, and instead of just kind of take out the spouse and insert our body. And we go, okay, how can I begin to cultivate and nurture and foster a healthier, more meaningful relationship with my body? And really how that starts is by looking that our body is of us, certainly, thank goodness, right? But it also is separate than us. And so in the first part of the book, I talk about how, or actually it's the mid part of the book, I talk about how the body is an other. It's something that's separate, just like a friend is separate. Doesn't mean we love it any less or that we relate to it any less. It's just an other. And so that I can begin, when my body is an other, I can begin to think about, how am I in relationship to my body? How am I treating it? How am I listening to it? And likewise, just like you do with the people that you love in your life, you can think about, you can think about, how would this affect my body? How would this affect? If I'm going to do this, in my relationship with someone I love in my life, and I know that that makes them happy, then I can also start to consider from the perspective of my body. I can start to consider, what would my body think about 8 hours of sitting all day? Interestingly enough, the body doesn't have an opinion. And this is something that always kind of gives me this aha. The body is an absolute neutral observer, for lack of a better word. It doesn't, it's not trying to be painful. It's not trying to be overweight. It's not trying to lack energy. Our body is a representation of what is currently going on in our life. And that doesn't mean to make us feel bad. If anything, the opposite. It's a way, our body is a way that communicates to us what it needs. Yeah. So there's a part in the book, in fact, the last segment of the book goes through and talks about what is this language of the body. And I think this is why feeling like having a relationship with our body is a little like scratching our head, because our body actually has its own unique language. When I'm thinking thoughts in my head, that's all in English. It's in my natural language. It's all actually either in my mother's voice, or my father's voice, or my own voice. So you go, oh. But I recognize when I'm thinking something. And I think you do too, But when the body, as an other, starts to communicate to us, comfortable and your back starts going, it's simply a message. Hey, hello, could you maybe switch it up a little bit? So that's the body's language, from head to toe and inside out. The body is constantly providing us with messages. And we are constantly practicing how to decipher that message, and then how to go, well, I'm feeling you, I'm sensing you, body, I got what's going on, let me figure out how to make you feel better. So that's the give and take. That's why it's not just a to Z trajectory that I'm going to get happy with my body, that I actually am going to have this ebb and flow, so that I'm constantly gathering information and then making choices. So the last part of the book is broken down into 3 sections. The first part is called Getting to Know You're Happy. And the reason I titled it that was because I really felt like it's so easy to just be like, I want to get happy with my body. I'm not happy with my body. And it's like, well, let's dive in a little deeper. What are you actually asking for? So there's an exercise in there that's called the mind map, where you go, well, I'd like to be pain-free, I'd like to be, flat, six-packs ab, I'd like to be, all the crazy, whatever it is. And then we pick, what are really my top priorities that help me every day feel happy in my body? And so you'll notice in the book that I've listed mine, and that there's the Happy Body Assessment, which is where you can assess, where am I? How close am I to being this happy that I've been setting the expectation for? So it's really important, I think, in that very beginning when we start a journey to go, where am I now? And what's been the expectation all this time? Because expectation is what can kind of lead us astray. I haven't met my expectation, so I guess I'll just be miserable. Or I'll blame myself, I'll shame myself, and I'll lack self-compassion. So at least in that first section of the book, we go through that. I invite you to go through that. And the second part of the second section of the book is called Getting to Know You, which is a little bit more about what's my mind? What goes through my mind when I'm thinking about my body? Because what gets filtered through our mind so deeply affects how we treat our body. And so we kind of do some of that, and the second section also goes through what I talked about, developing an ongoing relationship with your body, and what's that like. And then the last section of the book is called Getting to Know Your Body. And that's where we dive deeper into what is this process for understanding the language of my body? What is this process for getting to know it? And you'll see in there's a 3-step process. It's called the Be With Your Body practice, because we have to make things clever and cute, but also because it is a way to be with your body. And that 3-step process, I mean, I know it by heart, but I thought, well, maybe I'll show you a picture of it while I'm here. It's a circle. You passed it. So it's a 3-step process. The first step, let me get to the circle here.
126.
Thank you, everybody. 126. So much for the PowerPoint. There it is. You're right, Cindy. The Be With Your Body practice, which I love. I love not only the idea, but the fact that if we're going to be in a practice, we want to circle around and around, and maybe we go a reverse way, and that's what the Be With Your Body practice is. The practice is only 3 steps, and the first, one of the steps is to meet your body. And so I'm going to have you do that right now, so you can kind of, if you want to stand up or just kind of shake off the 25 minutes I've been sitting here talking to you the whole time. It's so unusual, right? So the first part of the Be With Your Body practice is, and this will just take us a few minutes, is to meet your body. And this is exactly like the first time you meet a friend. If I'm going to meet somebody new, I'm not going to be like, hi, nice to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you. So when we meet our body, just like when you're meeting someone you want to develop a friendship with, what do? Hey, I'm Jill. Hi, nice to meet you. We look at each other, we engage, we interact. And so right now, feel free to close your eyes. It's only going to be 30 seconds. So no panicking. I won't have you walking around the room meeting other people. But, now I just want you to hug the person next to you and meet their body. Sounds like a good idea.
That's called frisky.
Frisky. Yes. It's TSA all over again. So when you meet your body, I'm going to introduce you to meeting your body through an energetic handshake. That's where you just close your eyes. And as if you had a spotlight, you take that spotlight of attention and you place that attention either over your entire body or just a part of your body. And it really is an introduction. Hello, body. Yeah. And then that's it. Because when we meet someone, if we linger too long, it can be a little odd. Hi, how are you? Hi, 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 hi. Yeah, it's just like weird at that point, right? So when you start to use the Be With Your Body process, it's okay, I'm going to meet my body. I'm going to place that attention on my body. The second part is to listen. Because if we are going to develop a friendship, one of the things, or even if I just need directions to the, where's the bus stop, I need to take in information. I need to listen. And so as you move through this Be With Your Body process, step 2 is to listen. So again, go ahead, close your eyes, because that just takes out all the external static. Start by, you can meet your feet. I don't care what you meet. Decide wherever you want to meet in your body, and take a moment. You can move it around a little bit, you can wiggle, and I just want you to listen. Receive information. You don't have to judge it. What's the sensation? Cold, hot, sticky, tight, sore, puffy. Great. Doesn't it feel good to stay there? Do you just want to stay there all day? All right, so then the third process, the third part of this being with your body, developing a relationship with your body, number 3 is to choose, in parentheses, in favor of your body. So you're going to choose. So right now, go ahead, drop back into your body. Another quick, you can pick a different body part you want to meet. Take your flashlight of attention on it. Listen. Ooh, it's a little this or that. Is it sore? Is it tender? And I want you to choose something to do with your body that makes it feel a little better. Anything. It could be a little wiggle. It could be a breath. A stretch. choosing in favor of your body, choosing something that's going to make you feel better. Awesome. And that's it. That's what we do. We meet by placing our attention, we listen to gather information, and then we choose, hopefully in favor of our body. And we can do this in movement, but we also do this with our choices. Do I need to drink some water right now? I'm going to choose to drink some water. So I go through many, many pages and exercises in the book that go through that be with your body process. Oh, you may sit and relax again. Let's see, I had so many things I wanted to read with you, but...
Jill, is that like a once-a-day practice, or is that like a once-an-hour practice?
Thank you for bringing that up. I think that practice can start as in order to create habits, it is nice to have a certain set day and time. When I first started doing a practice like that, it was before I stepped out of bed. I would literally just lay in bed, and it only took a few minutes. Be like, oh, hi body, good morning body, and would go through and just listen and kind of warm up and move before my feet hit the floor and life got running. I will say that what I have found is in my practice now, there are two things that I'm doing throughout my day, and that's the very first section of the book, that happy body assessment. I'm constantly going through my assessment of am I as pain-free as I want to be? How's my digestion? How's my stomach feeling today? And then I'm constantly assessing what's going on. And then I am constantly, it's become a habit for me to constantly meet, listen, and choose. And I will say this is the asterisk, I don't always choose in favor of my body. And I talk about this in the book. Because there are sometimes that Jill, the boss of everybody, the boss of mind, body, emotion, spirit, Jill, says, I'm eating chocolate cake, even though I know that wheat bothers my stomach. I just make the choice. And I go, sorry, body, I'm going to do this. Take care of you later. So even though I say choose, parentheses, in favor of your body, it doesn't mean I always do. Because if we did, well, we probably wouldn't be here. If it was so easy to do that. If it was just so easy, A plus B equals C, well, we wouldn't have a $80 billion diet weight loss industry, weight loss and exercise industry. That is what I wanted to share with you from the book. On top of all of that, or underneath it, I don't know if it's the foundation or the umbrella, the very last thing I'll share with you is a thread, a common thread that I hope you receive from the book, is this ingredient of compassion. I don't know if pink is the color of compassion, but if it was, that would be perfect. Is it? Because that is probably the strongest message. More than knowing what makes you happy, more than knowing how to be with your body, probably I'm doing more and more research on how self-compassion is one of the key ingredients to transformation, to any kind of change. Because the anti-self-compassion, the opposite of self-compassion, is what keeps us stuck. What keeps us harming ourselves with our words, self-harming. It's what keeps us in this cycle of feeling like we're not enough. When self-compassion and being able to understand that, okay, I didn't cook the right food. Okay, I got this, or whatever. Okay, so I'm not exercising as much as I should. That not only is it okay, because I think sometimes it's easy to placate, that's okay. But to be wait a minute, what else do I have going on that I am actually being wonderful at? And that I am giving my energy to? And then when I have a little bit more energy, then I'll be able to come over here and be with my body more. But that what I'm doing is enough until I can start to create more transformation with when there's a little bit more light, whether there's time or energy, whatever. But self-compassion, I think, is if there was one, if I could give a pill, that would be it. The pill of self-compassion.